In this video, I want to have a look at something called the midpoint. So before we have a look at the midpoint, we need to define what an interval is. So an interval is a straight line segment joining 2 points. Okay, so now we know what an interval is, we can define what the midpoint is. So the midpoint of an interval is the point that divides that interval exactly in half. So it's exactly halfway. If we had endpoints A and B, then our midpoint M is exactly halfway along. So let's have a look at some examples. These ask us to find the coordinates of the midpoint for each of the intervals. So in here we've got our line segment, our interval A and B, and we're actually told where the midpoint is. It actually shows us that it's here. But we could figure that out by figuring out halfway along as well. So we're trying to find the coordinates of that point there, which would have an x coordinate of 3 and a y coordinate of 2. So the coordinates of our midpoint would be 3, 2. In this next one, we haven't been told where the midpoint is, but we can figure it out. So we can see that this point here would be our midpoint because we've gone across 2 and up 4 to get there, and we'd have to go across 2 and up 4 again. And we can see that this part here, from that point y to the midpoint, is the same length as from point x to the midpoint. So that's our m there, and now we need to read off the coordinates of that point. So that m has an x coordinate of 2 and a y coordinate of 3. So it's the opposite of our other one. All right, one last question. Asks us to find the coordinates of the end point B. So in this question, we're given the coordinates of A, we're given the coordinates of the midpoint, but we don't have that end point there. So again, when we're given a diagram, we can just read the coordinates off there. So that point B has an x coordinate of 4 and a y coordinate of 6. Right, so it's an introduction to the midpoint.